Yo, hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Angry64, for another video. Um, this time I actually want to talk about something newish, more from like an update. So I talked about this already. I talked about the Fury Warrior pre-patch best in slot gear, but we got some new information. We got like also this guide, which I will link in the description, which you can read through. It's a really good guide, so whenever you need to look up anything where you need to think about, oh, which gear should I SR in a raid or whatever, I would highly recommend this guide, even though I don't really like the new Wowhead layout. It's kind of bad, but yeah, it's not really something I can change here. Before I, however, start, I kind of want to talk about a bit about like my YouTube, my channels, stuff like that. First of all, I think I'm like around 430 subs, which is pretty crazy to me, since even though I haven't like uploaded a video in kind of a while, I was kind of busy with some real life stuff. However, that is really nice. I get many comments, and I always try to like answer some questions I get on my videos. This video will also, like, I also making this video so to clear up some questions I got in my comments and such. And yeah, people seem to enjoy it, so I will just continue. Again, my goal is kind of to hit like 1k subs, would be cool. Especially during TBC, my favorite expansion. And yeah, that's kind of that. And then always, if you like these kinds of videos, you know how it goes. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, whatever. Also, obviously, comment if you have any questions. And if you want to support me otherwise, you can also check the description, stuff like that. So yeah, let's start with the actual video, however. So we have this guide here. One thing I don't want to do, because that's like really boring and also kind of lazy, is just go through every single item and talk about it. I kind of want to talk about some special things in this guide, and also include some items which are missing on this list here, which are also really good. So you have like a general overview, obviously. In general, you have many items here, but I would also recommend you to skip some items in this case. So let's go through the guide. We are starting with the helmet, obviously, and this is already something I have something to talk about here. We have Lionheart helmet. I would highly suggest to not go for this item, since first of all it's really expensive and you need to save your gold for TBC, especially if you are a warrior. It's really important that you do that. If you're like, obviously you want to craft the mace, Dragon Maw, like you saw my other guides, I told you how important and how amazing it is. It is, trust me, it's really insanely strong. I think it's like a 15% haste proc, and the weapon in general has like also a lot of damage. So you want to craft that as soon as you can, and it will be really expensive. It will, I think, be like 3-4k. It will be way more than Lionheart helmet. Kind of depends on the pricing, but I think, in my personal opinion, like it will go crazy in TBC. So yeah, that's why I don't recommend Lionheart helmet. One other thing that is kind of annoying about this helmet, it doesn't have any stamina, and on a helmet, that's kinda annoying, because helmets are one like item slot where you can actually get a lot of stats. But yeah, that's also why this helmet's so strong anyway. It only has offensive stats. It is really good because it gives you like a huge amounts of hit, huge amount of crit, and also obviously some strength. But still, it's really expensive to craft, it's really expensive to buy, and I think it's not worth it right now. I obviously have it, but I played Classic and Anniversary from the start. I mostly farmed the mats by myself, and also I had some help with my guildmates, getting like Arcanite bar cooldowns and such. But yeah, still, I don't think it's really worth it. We can still look at the requirements here, still in TBC. Look at the requirements here. You need 18 Thorium bars, you need 12 Arcanite bars. Wick Claw, not really that expensive. Blue Sapphire can be expensive. They are around, like, I think on my server, at least they are like, sometimes they're like around 18 gold, sometimes they're like 24, 26 gold. I remember they were like up to 40, 50 gold when I wanted to craft mine. But yeah, that's something I want to mention. I don't think it's worth it. All of these alternatives here, that's also why I don't really like this layout. You can't even really search for raids as well, which you could with the other layout. But yeah, these alternatives are really great. Conqueror's Crown, tier 2.5 gear is really good. Don't be mistaken because it has defense on it that you don't want it. It is still really, really nice to have because the stats are really good on it. All of the tier 2.5 gear has just really high amount of base stats, which is obviously really crazy now on both factions because you have kings on Horde as well, and also obviously on Alliance, and you have the ZG World buff, which can massively boost like your stats as well, so that gets a lot of value here. However, why I even want to mention this here is because getting these items, the tier 2.5 items, can be quite annoying since you need to have AQ40 reputation, the Brood of Nostormo reputation, and you start out with Hated, and you need to like do some AQ40, turn on some items, stuff like that, which can be pretty annoying. And also you need to buy some items, like you need to turn in some items with the token as well. So it's not like you get the token, which you might be familiar with later expansions, even in TBC, and you can just turn in the token and you get the item. That's not something that is going to be happening in vanilla. For some items, like for the AQ token items, you need reputation, and you also need some other items to turn it in. We can actually look at this right here. As you can see, if we want to get this helmet, we need this token here, which drops some twins as well. And yeah, you can see you need some additional items here, which can be quite annoying. And you need to also be friendly with the Brood of Nostormo. And you might be thinking, okay, friendly is kind of easy, but don't forget you start with Hated, and it might be difficult to you for like to get into an AQ40 pack with maybe fresh gear, something like that. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of wary of recommending tier 2.5. It is still really not going to be that hard, and you won't have that much competition on these tokens. Kind of depends which tokens. I will talk about that, however, as well. For example, this token is not really that contested, but it drops some twins, and twins is one boss that is like really the pack kind of breaker, because depending on how your pack is set up, if you have decent warlock tanks, if you have people that know how to not stack the ignite too high, this boss is like actually pretty easy. You just need to move forth and back. But if you don't, you know how packs are, yeah, it can go quite bad. So that's just something I wanted to mention here as well. Generally, I would recommend right now to just farm some PvP honor, spec into the arms PvP spec. I will also probably make a guide about that as well. It's kind of late, but I also want to show you all of the gear. But yeah, I think that's really important. Just because like the gear in general is really good. You can see, for example, this helmet here is pretty nice. These honor prices are not really correct. I don't know why it says 3,902. They're actually way more, but yeah. That's kind of how it goes here. So you can look at these items. They're also really nice. Obviously, the full set is really nice. They're all really competitive and they give you a huge amount of stamina. And they are also going to be really good when you are leveling in TBC. Like, not everyone is going to like level as a group or doing like dungeon leveling or whatever. Many people will be in the overworld leveling solo. And that's where, for example, if you think about going for like some questing and such like stuff like that, gear like this is really nice because it gives you huge amounts of stamina, and also don't forget you might need to PvP a lot as well. So yeah, stamina is obviously the best stat you can get in PvP. So just a tidbit here. I won't go into too much detail about every slot, obviously here. One thing that is not mentioned here is actually the rare PvP gear you can get, which is, oh, now I need to remember the name. I think it was, wait, it was I think Hallberg. One of them was Hallberg. Yeah. No, this one is a shaman one. This one. So let me go here, and then I want to look at the helmet actually. This one. So yeah, for the helmet slot, for example, we have this one. This is like you have the rare items and you have the epic items. So in vanilla, maybe you just joined the game. Basically, we had like a ranking requirement for these. And the lower ranks allowed you to buy like the rare set. And then after that, I think rank 10 was the highest you needed to reach to buy all of it. And after that, like around, like for example, if you hit rank 12, you could buy the like some pieces of the epic set, and you need to be rank 13 actually to buy all of it, all of the epic set. But you don't need to do that anymore in the pre-patch. You just need to farm honor and some marks to buy it. But yeah, these rare pieces are cheaper in honor, but they're still really good. Some people even use them instead of the epic ones, even though they were rank 14 already, because I will talk about why in a second. But yeah, you can see this right here. This is actually a pretty decent helmet, lots of strength, 1 crit, 1 hit. If you are wondering about the ratings, don't worry about them much. Basically, all of the ratings just got translated into, like, they are adjusted for level 60. Later on it will be different, like when you are leveling it will change. But basically you can kind of think about it. 10 hit ratings, 1% hit. 14 critical strike ratings, 1% crit. But at level 60, that's really important. When you are level 70, for example, it will change. Like with more and more levels, it will change. You need more ratings. For example, at level 70, you actually need 15 hit rating to get 1%. Actually, like even around 16. So yeah, and 22 critical strike rating for 1% crit. But at level 60, you don't need to worry about it. If you already had gear and you were wondering, oh, all my gear's like so different. No, I probably lost so much hit. No, you didn't. It is still going to be the same thing. That's with all of the ratings for melee classes. For casters, I'm not really that familiar, so I can't give you a good answer for casters. But yeah, this helmet is really nice. One big advantage of the rare set is the 2 set. So if you use 2 of them, this means 2 blue or rare, whatever you want to call it, PvP items. You get the set here. You can also see which items are included here. I will talk about which ones are also the best ones. You get this nice bonus of 40 attack power. You only need 2 items, which is really nice, because compared to the epic set, which is... No, I need to go back again. Where is it? So yeah, for example, this epic set here, you need 6 items to get the 40 attack power bonus. So they kind of swapped around the set bonuses. This is obviously really nice for tanks, but if you are DPS, you don't really care that you don't really care about that. You would rather have the 40 attack power. But yeah, you can see actually, if you want to have the 20 stamina, you need 6 pieces of the rare set. But yeah, you don't go for that. Some items are really bad of the blue set. For example, the gauntlets, and what else do we have? Like the boots are also pretty meh. So yeah, but this helmet is actually pretty nice. It's kind of like a budget version of Lineart helmet. That's why I always called it, and it's like one of the better rare pieces you can get. It's not mentioned on here. I'm not sure why. To be honest, probably because you can just get the PvP epic one and then you're golden. But I just wanted to mention it as well. You kind of need to make a decision. Do you really want to blast in the pre-patch, or do you just want to prep for TBC maybe and don't really care about getting the best items here, since you will replace most of them in TBC anyway? Yeah, it's kind of obviously your choice. But some items are easier to get than others. Yeah. Again, we have also some other items here. We have shoulders. For shoulders, 2.5 are the best ones, but you also need some reputation. This token is actually pretty easy to get, to be honest. It drops from multiple bosses. I think 2 bosses can drop this one, and you can also get multiple ones as well from one boss. But yeah, so if you do 1 SR, you will probably get it in an AQ run. One shoulder slot that is not mentioned here is again the rare PvP one, which is this one. Lieutenant Commander Plate Shoulders. You might think, okay, these are really bad. 70 strength, 14 crit. They are compared to the other shoulders. However, let's say you already also use the helmet. Then you can think about actually buying the shoulders as well. Then you have the 2 set. And that's actually a pretty decent setup. It's like the cheap setup that people also used in Classic Anniversary if they didn't want to rank all the way to like rank 12, rank 13. They just use these 2 items that they were really strong because they give you 40 attack power, which is pretty nice, obviously. But yeah, that's that. We have some other items, for example, for the cloak. One important thing I need to mention here. So what are some stats you should look out for? one set in particular doesn't get nerfed or anything. So you saw, for example, with hit rating, if we reach higher levels, we need to get more hit rating. So these items right now in like compared to vanilla, they got pretty much nerfed because they had 1% on them. 1% is always 1%. However, if this gets translated into ratings, it's like different depending on how high of a level you are. So that's pretty much a nerf. Not in the pre-patch, however, but later on it will be. One stat, however, that didn't get changed at all here is actually attack power. So attack power is still going to be attack power. Meaning items which have lots of attack power on them are actually really relevant for TBC. This means, for example, this cloak here, Shroud of Dominion, has 50 attack power on it. And that's actually pretty nice. So you can perfectly use this until you get your Vengeance Wrap. And you can actually see, like, the best in slot cloak we are going to use in TBC for phase 1, phase 2 is Vengeance Wrap. This is a really, really strong cloak. And you can kind of see why. It has like a socket, it has 52 attack power and 23 crit. It is basically an upgraded version of Shroud of Dominion. So like what it gets here, it gets like, obviously it gets 1% crit again. 2 more attack power, it's not really that big, and 1 socket, that's the important thing. But yeah, really similar. So you can rock Shroud of Dominion until you get Vengeance Wrap. You are kind of golden there. So yeah, this is actually a really good piece. Other cloaks are obviously also really nice. Actually, these 3 cloaks are pretty close. Cloak of the Foreign God, Cloak of Draconic Might. Even like Cloak of Concentrated Hatred. But yeah, again, attack power is actually pretty nice to have because it's always going to be attack power. And it's not relevant like how high of a level you are. Then you have some other stuff here. We have some chests here. Also the rare PvP chest is also pretty nice. Which you can also perfectly use here. For bracers as well, we have Wrist Guards of Vengeance. Basically, we are going to get, I think, if I'm... Yeah, I think it's... Yeah, there's these ones. So, in TBC, the best ones we can use are actually Black Felt Steel Bracers. These are going to be our best slot ones. And you can see they are really similar to Wrist Guards of Vengeance, actually. You can see these have 24 strength, 10 stamina, 14 crit rating. These ones have 26 strength, 15 stamina, and 22 crit. It is like a really, really slight difference. I think that's kind of funny, because this one, like 14 critical strike rating is 1% crit at level 60. This one will give you 22 critical strike rating, which is 1% crit at level 70. So yeah, they're really similar to each other. It's just an upgraded version of Wrist Guards. So you can also think about using this one until you get Black Felt Steel Bracers. Yeah, perfectly fine to use. These are actually also really decent. You also have like Hive Defilers. These are a bit different. They have just raw stats on them. And you have like other bracers here as well. One really big tip I can give you here for the bracers is you can see it says easy to obtain Berserker bracers, but these are not the ones you should actually go for. I don't recommend that. They have 19 strength, 8 agility, 11 stamina. One thing I also need to mention, lots of people are only mentioning the ranking PvP gear, so like the full set you can get. But there are off pieces you can get from other vendors, and they also got changed into not requiring a reputation anymore. So in vanilla, you had obviously like BGs you could join. You have a Warsong Gulch, you have Arati Basin, and you have Autok Valley, and all 3 of these have also a reputation bound to them. That basically meant if you did these BGs, you would also gain some reputation, and depending on your reputation, you could also buy some items of the vendor. Like there was like a quartermaster that could sell you gear, but you need reputation for it. And you could only gain really that reputation by doing these BGs, which meant if you really wanted to get some of the items, some of them are really good actually. For example, these Berserker Bracers, you got these from the Warsong Gulch reputation, but you need to be exalted. So yeah. But they were actually really strong. They were best in slot for, I think, 2 phases, if I'm correct here. Actually, no, I think 3 phases even. Or even 4. Was there better bracers in... Yeah, it could be even 4 phases, but yeah, they were best in slot for many, many phases. But they're really annoying to get. You need to grind so much Warsong Gulch. What they did in TBC, however, is they removed the reputation requirement But that's not something a lot of people know, since these vendors are like really out of the way. I will make a separate video where I will show you all of the vendors and also show you what gears they will offer you. And some of the items are actually really nice, like these bracers here. One other, however, really nice thing here is actually for the bracers. For example, you can see you have actually 3 options. So if you go to the vendor, for Alliance, it's like you need to go to Ashenvale. For Horde, it's in the Barrens, like it's the top of the Barrens. But yeah, I will make a separate video about this. You have 3 different versions, and basically they are just for different level ranges. So you have a level 50 version, you have a level 40 version, and obviously a level 60 version. The level 60 version costs, I think, around 4.3k honor and some Warsong Gold marks, but don't buy that one. I highly recommend not getting that one. Just get the level 50 version. You can see the comparison here. Obviously you lose out on some armor, but who cares? You lose out on 2 strength, 1 agility, and some stamina. But you might not, like, maybe you don't know about this, but it's actually crazy. These ones only cost 624 honor, I think. These ones cost 4.3k and also some gold marks. So yeah, the difference is crazy. You can do 1 BG and you can get enough honor to buy these, and then you are good. You can do some raids, maybe you get an upgrade there for your bracers. But generally this will be really nice to have, and you can replace them in TBC obviously as well. But they're really cheap, so definitely grab these. Like, there's no real argument here that you need to think about. Just get them, they're really good. So yeah, that's like one tip I can give you, definitely, where you can get a really good piece, really cheap. For hands, like we have Oni gauntlets, we have some other hands here. One really interesting thing is actually H-core leather gloves. These gloves, what they used to give you, and also this, like, on general change, people also ask me about this. What is about Edge Masters? Is Edge Masters still good? Is it a good item? No, you don't want to use Edge Masters. Edge Masters, it's useless. It's only really maybe good for leveling, I would say. I hope you sold it before, because now it's completely worthless to have. Or you transferred over to Era and sold it there. Because you can see it only gives you like hit rating and like 17 expertise. So that's kind of it. That's all this item will give you. It might be relevant for Retribution Paladins, maybe. But still, it's a pretty worthless item right now. One nice change, however, is all of the items that had weapon skill on them now have expertise on them. This means every single item you can think of, things like even dagger skill, whatever, they all have expertise right now. Expertise is obviously a way better general stat than just having weapon skill for a specific type of weapon. So for example, if you are a warrior, you might not use dagger, so dagger skill is obviously not really useful for you. H-core leather gloves is one of these items. This one dropped in Molten Core, or is dropping in Molten Core, and it had dagger weapon skill on it. We used this one as like dagger tanks, or if we got like a really good dagger, we could also use this. But now, instead of that, it has expertise, and it has actually pretty nice stats overall. 15 strength, some crit, like 1% crit, some expertise obviously, which is really rare. So these are actually also really strong for Retribution Paladins. So if you are playing that, definitely look out for these are really good. But yeah, you can get them in Molten Core, and they're actually pretty nice. One other item which is also completely new are the Fist of the Unrelenting. This is more of a tank version of Goa, Gauntlets of Nation, which drops from Kafun. This one is highly contested, it will be really hard to get these. But this is actually a new item which drops from Sephiron. This was actually intended to be dropping in vanilla, but I guess they didn't get around that, adding this item back then. And then with TBC, they actually introduced this item now. So it's actually like a vanilla item. But for us, obviously, it's like a completely new item. And it's actually really nice. So yeah, 1 hit, 1 crit, lots of stamina, lots of strength. So this is actually the best in slot item you can get on a tank. But yeah, these are some of the changes here I would mention. One other thing, obviously, you can also think about using the epic rank hands here. These are also kind of nice because they reduce your hamstring rage cost, where you would think, okay, why do I use this? Like, I don't care about hamstring. You might be if you are playing an arms warrior. I will also make a quick update as well on like another video talking about Arms Warriors, because actually I made like a mistake on my rotation thing for the pre-patch, and I also played a bit of Arms Warrior, and hamstringing for trying to get sword spec procs is pretty insane, and this can actually be kind of helpful here. Free rage cost reduction is kind of nice, so yeah, if you're an Arms Warrior, maybe look out for these. They could be actually pretty nice to use. So yeah, and there are also definitely some decent hands you can get here. One item that is not mentioned here for whatever reason are Flame Guard Gauntlets. They give you 1 crit, 54 attack power, are also plate, and these are also really nice to have. Drop in Molten Core, they are kind of rare, but yeah, these are also pretty nice to have, obviously. And for hands in general, you can use like a whole different variety of hands you want to get. Like there's so many. I think the easiest one to get are Sacrificial Gauntlets here, for example, which you can just do 1 ZG run, USR it, you will 100%, if they drop, you will 100% not have any competition here. So yeah, definitely can also think about getting these. Belt, we have some stuff here as well. Again, Zandala Vindicator's belt is the easiest one. The other ones are more contested. Triad Girdle is also pretty easy to get. But yeah, Girdle of Cemento, Onslaught, Belt of Never Ending Agony, especially because of the strength of Feral Druids in TBC. Many people will play Feral Druids right now to gear them up for TBC. This item is actually pretty contested right now as well. And drops from Kafun, just, yeah. Legs is something I want to like mention some options here. So obviously we have Leg Plates of Carnage. Leggings of Apocalypse are also really similar to that one, but I would rather, to be honest, 100% go for Leg Plates of Carnage. They're better itemized for warriors, and they are plate as well. Titanic Leggings, don't go for this item. It's way too expensive. It's not worth it at all. If you really need a good pair of legs, just farm. Obviously the like ranking ones, which you can see here. These will give you 2 crit, 10 hit. And if you want to save some honor, you can also think about going to, like, again, Ashenvale to the Warsong Gulch, Vendor, if you are Alliance, and you can grab actually these legs here, which are the Sentinel Plate Leg Guards. These have 1 hit, 1 crit, 28 strength. So they even have more strength than the epic ranking ones, but they have like less crit, 1% less crit, but they are cheaper, like way cheaper. They cost around, I think, 8k honor. So yeah, definitely something you can maybe consider grabbing, and they don't require any marks or whatever. So yeah, this is also a really good piece actually, and also they look similar to Leg Plates of Carnage. So maybe you can trick some people with that, thinking you have Leg Plates of Carnage. I don't need to do that because I have them, but yeah, no, I'm joking. Yeah, then we have obviously some other stuff here, Conqueror Leg Guards, requiring another token. But yeah, again, I don't want to go into too much detail here about every single item. For boots, we have many options. Some options are not mentioned here. Again, for whatever reason, I don't really know. And we'll look at this right now. So first of all, we have chromatic boots here. Sorry, something bugged here. Yeah, we have chromatic boots here. Obviously, a really nice, strong piece here. This is going to be a best in slot piece, but pretty contested. Boots of the Vanguard are nice, way easier to get. I would highly recommend, if you do AQ20, just as Erzus. This is probably, I would say, the best item you can get right now from AQ20, which you're thinking about, because to be honest, grabbing the weapon is completely useless since you can just get the rank 14 one. I need to remember what other items. Yeah, okay, there are some other items you could go for, but yeah, this item is actually really good. It's really close to chromatic boots, especially if you don't need the hit. Then you have many versions of chromatic boots, but worse. We have Boots of the Fallen Hero, dropped from Bug Trio. They just have like worse stats, like worse offensive stats, a bit more stamina, but they look really cool, you know? They actually look blue. I kind of like how they look, to be honest. Then we have actually something that is not mentioned here, which are, for example, Slime Kickers. So they drop in AQ20 as well. You actually have 2 boots that you can get. Again, 1 hit, strength, agility, stamina, but again, less than chromatic boots, obviously. Yeah. You also have some array basin stuff you can get as well, which we can check out maybe here as well. Yeah, you have these belts here, which we, however, don't really care about. So let's try to find the vendor. So we have this person here, and this is a PvP gear. Okay, whatever. So basically, there are some boots you can get from doing some AB in this case, and you can actually get some really nice pieces of, in this case, boots which have some innate movement speed on it. Yeah, this is a vendor. So yeah, actually, no, I found it. So let's look at this. So yeah, this is like the vendor. This is a Horde one, but it doesn't matter. They both sell the same items anyway, like the Alliance or Horde. We can look at the boots here, which hope I can find them. But yeah, you can see it right here, depending on which class you are playing. For us, we would try to get these ones. And you can also see they require, you don't need to be the highest amount of level here. And then you can grab these 14 strength, 12 agility, 12 stamina. They don't have any hit rating, which is obviously really worse. But they have the movement speed bonus. So this means you can pretty much use like an offensive enchant on them. And then you can be golden as well. And yeah, since they are blue items, they should be also not really that expensive. But I haven't checked actually. I have never used them. Since, again, you had to grind AB reputation, and no one really played AB. Classic Anniversary, everyone was doing AB. And AB is also the best VG as well. But so, yeah, you know this was a meta. Kind of annoying. For the next slot, we have obviously Storm Rage, which is the best one. You have some other options here. I would highly recommend for you, if you can, host Onyxia yourself. Since the head is pretty much guaranteed all the time, and it's just one boss, and you HR the head, and then you have this neck, and then you are good. Yeah, then you have a really strong neck, then you can try to get something better in other raids. But yeah, Onyxia is something a lot of people will be doing right now. Lots of people need like some gear out of that. So, and it's like a really easy boss as well. You can tank Onyxia with some decent gear. Especially if you have some, like if you have some PvP ranking gear, like you can do it really easily. You don't need fire resistance. Trust me, I never tanked Onyxia with some fire resistance. It's not really something you need. But yeah, something I highly recommend here to do is just HR this. Do like an SR run, give like tanks and healers an additional SR, and then you will probably get many whispers, I would say, depending on which day you are hosting it. Then you are golden. One other thing is, one neck that is not mentioned here is actually, if I can actually find it, yeah, this one, Fury of the Forgotten Swarm. This one drops in AQ 20. It has like a really weird drop where it drops from. So the second boss you are fighting in AQ 20 has some Etsy's going to spawn first, and there are like some generals he spawns. And these generals have like a chance to drop this item. And you can see it's really similar to the Onyxia neck. It gives you some strength instead, which is obviously better than agility, crit, and hit rating. So this is actually really good. I don't know why it's not mentioned on here, because this is actually a really strong neck. But yeah. So it's kind of a weird drop. So try to maybe think about that one as well if you want to. It's like if you do AQ 20, maybe you are lucky. Actually, these items have a pretty high drop chance from these generals. They always kind of drop like a blue, but there's like a kind of big loot pool here. Good. So we have some other items here. We have some rings here. This is something I want to mention here as well, which is really important. First of all, what you will notice is, again, Band of Unnatural Forces. And this is actually your pre-BIS ring in TVC. So even if you are level 70, this is going to be a pre-BIS ring. Unless you want to think about, oh, I want to spend my badges and get the ring for 25 badges. That could be an argument here, but I don't recommend that. So yeah, if you have it, Grats, I tried to get it. I think I lost it around 4 times now. So yeah, really nice ring. However, it's really strong since it has like a huge ton of attack power. One other big thing is this thing here. So this was one ring you might be thinking, what? What is this? I never saw this ring, or I don't know. This ring drops from Patchwork, and in Classic, this ring was pretty bad. Only really hunters wanted to get this since they only had some agility on it. Like it had a fuck ton of agility on it. But again, this was not something we really care about, since like we as warriors, we don't really get a lot of benefits from agility. However, in TBC, in like right now, also in the pre-patch, they introduced a change to hunters, especially where they actually nerfed the range attack power gain you gain from agility to 1. It was 2 before. So this also meant they changed many items which had pure agility on them to accommodate that as well. So many items which had pure agility on them will have less agility on them, but will have some attack power. Obviously, this is like way more useful to us. So this ring got massively buffed here. So it has 22 agility instead, but it has 46 attack power, which is crazy. It's like 6 less than Band of Unnatural Forces, but still. Really strong ring. It is actually the second best ring you can grab. Right now, not a lot of people know this also as well. They don't check guides or whatever. And I think no one will SR this, I'm guessing. So yeah, definitely something you should maybe grab. So if you continue here, we have obviously also some other rings here. If you do lots of AV, you have an easy time to grab this, obviously. This is something you can easily get. You have some other items as well. You can also get some from another AB vendor. If you do ZG, you can get the Seal set, Seal of Jin, for example, Band of Jin. These two are pretty nice strings as well. One will give you hit, one will give you crit. They both give you attack power. Also pretty nice to have. Kind of contested, but not really. So yeah, I would also recommend trying to go for this, if you can. And that's kind of like the rings are pretty much, you have many options you can use, obviously. So yeah, try to get like a good ring. Don Julio's band is still really nice to get, and obviously if you do like lots of honor grinding, you will have this 100%. Depending if you do AV or not. Trinkets are pretty interesting here. So obviously Kiss of the Spider is the best, Mark of the Champion is the second best, so this is the best combination. However, the trinket you should prio 100% is Mark of the Champion and Slayer's Crest. Mark of the Champion even more so. This trinket gives you 150 attack power against undead and demons. You might be thinking, okay, why does it give 150 attack power to demons? It even did that in vanilla. But as you know, there's like no demon raid. Even though there are like many demon raids. But yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm not I'm not going to make any more jokes here. But yeah, this one is, I think personally, they probably thought already about TBC like 100% and thought, yeah, this is pretty nice to use in TBC as well. So that's why this trinket is so strong. It will get way more millage in TBC than it ever did in vanilla, since there are many more demon raids, undead raids, like undead enemies and such in raids and so on. So yeah, 100% you should use this. It's really good. Kiss of the Spider will get kind of nerfed as well. Like it will get 100% nerfed when you are level 70. It will have like way less stats on it, so it's not that strong. That's where Slayer's Crest comes into play, since again this is like a raw attack power trinket, and it's like and it's actually slightly worse than Bloodlust Brooch, which you will 100% get with your badges. So there's one trinket you can get in TBC with badges. It costs 41 badges, and you can see it's like it's pretty much Slayer's Crest, but with more stats. So 72 attack power, 278 if you use the on-use. This one has 64 attack power, 260 the on-use. So yeah, pretty decent here. That's what I would recommend. Go for Mark of the Champion, go for Slayers. Kiss of the Spider you can kind of ignore, to be honest. It also depends on the raid. Like if you know this raid is not going to beat Saffron, obviously go for Kiss. But yeah, me personally, I have Kiss and Mark of the Champion, but obviously I will replace Kiss of the Spider in TBC. Slayer's Crest is something where you can make an argument for. You can, if you have Slayers, you can think about grabbing Bloodlust Brooch later and buy some other stuff with the badges first. Maybe the neck, Choke Off the Wild Intent, which is this one. This one, for example. This one costs 25 badges, and it's really good to have. So yeah, that's just something I would recommend here. Other trinkets, there are like multiple trinkets you can use. Diamond Flask is the easiest one. It requires some level 50 quests. You can get this, and still really nice. 75 strength is nothing to scoff at for 1 minute as well. Pretty crazy. Earth Strike. I wouldn't really recommend going for Earth Strike unless you can get to Exalted really easily. Then you can think of farming it. But to be honest, now it will even be harder to get it because not many people will farm this reputation. Hand of Justice, if you can get it, if you do some BRD runs, also pretty nice. There are many trinkets you can use. One trinket that is not mentioned here is actually Black Hand's Breath. This one, 28 critical strike rating, basically 2% crit here. It's also pretty nice to have. And it's also like really easy. It's from a quest you can do. You can guaranteed get it. And you can also use this. Like using Black Hand's Breath and Diamond Flask is actually a pretty decent combo you can use until you get something better in a raid or something. Something. Weapons is something... Oh man, I need to stop saying something. Like the weapons are really important. You have obviously some choices. I got many questions as well. Which kind of weapon should I use? Should I use the slow one? Should I use the fast one? So let me kind of try to explain it. You can see also there's like a tidbit here mentioning which weapons you should use. One important thing, which I also got some questions on, is the weapon type is not that important anymore. You can use swords, you can use maces, you can use axes, you can use fist weapons even. So it doesn't matter. You can even use daggers, kind of, but I would not really recommend it, like unless there's like some exceptions, but I will explain that. But yeah, that's kind of the deal here. You can kind of use everything. The only benefit you are getting from using the weapon which is tied to your sword specialization or like to your racial specialization. So let's say you are a human. If you use swords or maces, you get some expertise now. You don't get weapon skill anymore. And expertise has nothing to do with weapon skill. It's completely different. All it will do is basically reduce the chance that your attacks are going to be dodged or parried. And obviously we only care about the dodge thing as a DPS. But yeah, it is pretty nice. It is also a DPS increase, obviously. So if you can, try to use it. That's like you don't go out of your way to use other types if they are worse. If you can get like the same item, let's say for example you do like you some honor grinding and buy the PvP ones. Obviously grab something which also has your specialization. So like for humans, buy the sword, buy the mace, whatever you want to do. Same thing for orcs, obviously, as well. So yeah, that's something I would recommend here, 100%. No talking about slow versus fast offhand. The thing is, using slow weapons, two slow weapons, main hand and offhand. Main hand will always be kind of slow because you want to have the highest damage kind, like weapon on your main hand. Kind of depends here as well, but yeah, that's kind of what you want to do here. Whirlwind no hits with both your main hand and offhand. This means basically most slow offhand weapons are going to have like a higher damage value than compared to a fast one. That's like the trade-off. Faster weapons have lower damage on them, but what they will have is obviously you can attack with them faster. Slower ones will have more damage on them, but they are going to attack slower. So that's kind of the trade-off. It's not really because of slow or fast. If you are talking about a whirlwind in this case, it's really only about the damage this weapon is doing. So yeah, using two slow weapons is going to increase your whirlwind damage, which is obviously really nice, and it is going to be really insane in AoE. Since you are using sweeping strikes, that will help you with, like if you use whirlwind with that as well. That is obviously going to increase your damage by a fuck ton. Since it's going to hit with both weapons, your offhand damage is also going to get transferred to sweeping strikes. So yeah, really important stuff here. Fast offhand weapons, however, can be decent and can be pretty nice as well, especially for single target. So for single target, you can use a fast one, since you will have way more rage generation. This is, however, kind of like a Fieldcraft thing. If you are kind of struggling with rage, this can be something you can think about. Me personally, I would say, yeah, you can do that, but like if you have vault buffs, everything. For example, for my warrior, I'm pretty geared since I did like many raids. I don't really see the point of using this fast offhand weapon, to be honest, since I have so much rage to spend anyway. One important thing here, however, that's also like really important is heroic strike queuing and how it is going to be affected if you use two weapons with the same speed. So if you use two weapons with the same speed, so for example, let's say this one. We have High Warlord's Blade here. This is a 2.9 speed, and what some people ask me already is, should I buy this one 2 times, or should I buy like one of these and then one of this one? You can do kind of both, but if you buy this one 2 times, you will have way higher damage in AoE situations. One big problem, however, is since they are the same weapon, obviously they have the same speed. Both of 2.9. So this is kind of a problem. And I'm going to talk about why here. It's also going to be mentioned here. It's because of the heroic strike queuing. I got also asked about this, so I will talk about it here. Basically, if you use two weapons which have the same speed, you need to desync them. The reasoning is how heroic strike queuing works. So basically we have like a mechanic, we have heroic strike. If we press it, our next auto attack is going to get modified. It's going to change into an ability. It will get, like, it won't give you rage, kind of. But in that time frame, where we have heroic strike queued, if our offhand hits the target, like if you hit the target of our offhand, we will actually gain lots of benefits here. First of all, our offhand, it will also get modified. It will also be an ability. So this means it will basically be guaranteed to hit unless the attack gets dodged or parried, but it can't miss, which is like crazy if you are hit capped, obviously. So this is already a big benefit. It goes from the huge dual wield penalty to just a normal ability penalty, like hit penalty. And also when it hits, it will generate rage force, which is really important for rage generation. But this requires that you have heroic strike queued, and then the offhand is hitting in that kind of time frame. It's kind of complicated to explain, but basically how it works is you press heroic strike, and if you have heroic strike queued, your offhand is hitting in that kind of time frame when you have heroic strike queued, and then you will gain like so many benefits, like you gain rage, stuff like that. It's really nice. It's kind of a bug, some people would say, but yeah, this basically changes like the complete playstyle of warrior as well, where we will actually need like less hits than, for example, rogues, since they are always are affected by that big dual wield penalty. We can kind of ignore that, which is pretty nice. However, now if you use two weapons with the same speed, you have kind of a problem here. Why? Because these two weapons are going to hit at the same time. Both of them are going to hit. Like, let's say we use the 2.9 speed weapons. They're going to hit at the same time, and you don't have any chance where the offhand is going to hit maybe earlier or later than your main hand. This basically means you don't benefit from the heroic strike queuing feature at all. Completely, like, not at all. You can't benefit from it. So what you need to do, which is kind of annoying here, you need to desync your weapons, which means you want to have your, let's say, your offhand hitting later or earlier than your main hand. So they need to be, that's what I mean by desync, they hit at different time frames. This is something you can do. For example, what you can do is basically you don't equip your offhand, you start the fight or you hit something, and then you equip your offhand. Obviously, if you hit something with a sword, you have auto attack speed, obviously, like in this case 2.9. So again, it will take some time to hit. But if you obviously then equip your offhand, it will hit, and then they are desynced with each other, which is something you can do. There are some macros you can use. There are many things you can use here. But yeah, that's why it's important that you need to desync your weapons if you have two of them which are the same speed. It doesn't matter what type of weapons they are. Like, this doesn't matter at all. If they are the same speed, you need to desync them, because you will lose out on lots of damage. This is also relevant for TBC, obviously, as well. It's always relevant. But yeah. One thing I need to mention here, however, I'm pretty sure if you get a Wind Fury proc, you can also desync your weapons with that. So, but yeah, I could be kind of wrong about this. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't tested this extensively, since I never had two weapons which had the same speed anyway. But yeah, sorry for that huge tangent, but it is really important. So for some weapons, obviously, we have Gressel. It's going to be the best one. So in general, what you can say is basically, you should really try to get, especially if you are new, just get the PvP weapons, the rank 14 ones, and then the only upgrades you can really get are from next rammers. All of the weapons are kind of upgrades here, so it doesn't really matter. For example, Hunger and Cold, Iblis, King's Fall. The best one is Gressel by far, because it has the highest amount of damage here, and it's also like a slow one-hander, so it's pretty much perfect. But yeah, that's going to be tough to get. But we have some other options. Below that, we have two weapons which are really similar, from like not from Crusade, from other bosses and next rammers. We have one from North, we have this one-hand axe, Hatchet, and also Castigator, which does the same damage as Hatchet. You can see they both have the same damage, same speed, but different stats. This one has hit, this one doesn't, but has actually more attack power instead. So yeah, kind of different here. Also, one is the mace, one is the axe. I actually have this axe here. I couldn't really use it in Classic Anniversary. This is the only next rammer's weapon I have. But yeah, I'm using actually this one in my main hand, and I'm using High Warlord's Blade in my offhand. And you would say, what? Why would you do that? This one is way slower than Hatchet, but you can see this one has actually more damage than the rank 14 weapon. So yeah, definitely something you can also do. You don't need to use slower weapons in your offhand. Like, you can use slower weapons in your offhand. Sorry, I meant it like that. It doesn't matter. Let's say you have this weapon, 2.9, you have this weapon, which is 2.6. You would think, oh, I need to use a slow weapon in my main hand, and this one is faster, it should go in my offhand. That's something that is pretty natural to think about, but what's more important is actually the damage. So yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can use this one in your main hand, you can use High Warlord's Blade in your offhand, and then you are golden. Or if you have Castigator, same story here. Or if you have Gressel, you would do the same thing. But the best combination is basically use Gressel, and then one of these weapons here. That's kind of the best thing you can use. If you want to use something faster, you have many options in next rammers as well. You have the Claw from Sephiron, which no one really used before, but now people are using that one. Again, it's a fist weapon. You can use it. It only goes in your offhand, and it's really fast, 1.5 speed. It will really boost your rage generation. But on AoE, you should use something else. It's like the damage is pretty low on this one because it's so fast. King's Fall is the only real dagger you should use, since it has still like high amounts of damage from some Crusade, but you are kinda griefing a rogue with getting that one, to be honest. There are many more options you can use. You have Iblis, you have THC. Iblis is way better than THC, since THC, all it will give you is some expertise. It is faster than Iblis, but Iblis, you can see the stats. It gives you 26 AP, 10 hit, 14 crit. This will only give you some expertise and stamina. This is obviously a really good tanking weapon, but not for DPS. Yeah, that's kind of it. So generally for weapons, get one from, get the PvP ranking one, the rank 14 one. And then you can think about getting something from next rammers. You can also think about Grand Marshal Swiftblade. This one has many usages, since it's also really fast. You can use it as a tanking weapon perfectly fine. If you don't want to desync your weapons, you can also just buy this one and yeah, just chill. This one in your main hand, this one in your offhand will still do lots of damage. You will still have pretty nice rage generation as well. Way better than having two really slow ones. But AoE is going to suck. you're going to get out eclipsed by DPS warriors which have 2 of these, or other slow weapons. So, now let's talk about two-hand weapons really quickly. I played a bit of Arms Warrior. I tried it out a bit. And I also, basically what I did, I just used my PvP spec. I just wanted to try it out a bit. And Sword spec is insane. It is so busted, it's crazy. I didn't have a Wind Fury. I didn't have Wind Fury for quite a while, like when I did the raid. So I just was rocking Arms Warrior, and yeah, I pressed some hamstrings here to proc some sword specs, and it was crazy. When I procced sword spec, I went from 50 to 80 rage. It was so insane. That's what I would highly recommend. Go for sword specialization whenever you can. It is insane. It will make playing Arms Warrior also really fun. I think it's way more fun than Pole Axe or Mace specialization. Way more fun. It's actually pretty active. Since if you get the sword spec, you can immediately try to use something where you really need to try to dump your rage. Again, you don't really use Slam as an Arms Warrior unless you're like Fury 2-hand. So yeah, that basically means Corrupted Ashbringer is the best weapon you can use on an Arms Warrior right now, just because of the high amounts of damage, also the really insane stats, 2 crit, 1 hit, and also all of the crazy procs. It's kind of like a legendary weapon, to be honest. The minus 25 stamina sucks, so that one is like the really high drawback here. But yeah, that is something you need to think about here, so try to get it if you can. It's really nice. Some other options, obviously, what we have here is definitely swords are going to be kind of king here. But also Pole Axe specialization is also nice. So you have Dark Edge of Insanity as well here, which is pretty crazy. Drops from Kufun. Kufun gear in general has also pretty high item levels, so the stats are pretty crazy. 35 strength, 19 agility, 25 stamina. Huge base stats, so pretty cool. Gloveken drops a sword, which is nice. Has like almost 100 attack power, 20 stamina. So yeah, pretty decent as well. Like you have many two-hand options. You have Severance. You would think what I also talked about as well. You would like maybe use Might of Manipul, which drops from the last boss from Crusade. But the reason why this is actually not such a strong weapon is because of the weapon specialization. If you have Fury 2-hand, you don't really care about this, so you can just use this, whatever, since it has the highest amount of damage. But again, the spec is really important. So sword spec will basically give you crazy amounts of rage, especially if you spam hamstring a lot. This basically ensures you can just do many more heroic strikes. You can use many more abilities, but you can't really do, for example, mace spec. So yeah, that's why sword spec is so insane. And you can see the damage difference is kind of there, but this is also like way slower. So yeah, Severance is also great axe to use. 28 crit, strength, stamina, pretty nice. And then you have some other weapons. You have Eye of Nerub, which you can kind of use, pole arm in this case. This also got massively changed here, which is kind of funny. In Classic, this was a completely different item. So here you can see it in Classic. It gave you so many different weapon skill stats here, like 45 agility, 20 to stamina, and +4 to many, like obviously hunter weapon skill things, so bows, crossbows, guns. But no, it's a completely different item. It has less agility, it has 60 attack power and 16 hit rating instead. I kind of wish maybe it will also give you some additional expertise here. I don't know why they didn't do this for this weapon, but yeah, I don't know. Might be a specific reason. And obviously the rank 14 weapon is really nice. It doesn't matter if you're orc or human, go for the sword. Like, you 100% want to go for the sword. You have this sword here as an orc, and you also have the alliance one. The alliance one pretty much looks better. Yeah, it just looks better. So definitely try to get this one while you're farming honor. Problem here is, however, it's really expensive. Two-hand weapons are pretty expensive. I think they are around 15k honor, which is kind of annoying. So yeah, you have other options as well for two-hand weapons, which are not mentioned here. For example, you have obviously Bone Reavers, which I used when I was playing arms a bit. This one has a really, really nice armor penetration proc and also some crit. So yeah, it's pretty nice to use as well if you have it. It's also a sword, which is obviously, like, again, huge plus. You have Ashkandi. Yeah, this one also pretty decent as well. Really high damage. So yeah, you have many, many options. Generally, you want to look out for a sword or an axe. So that's kind of your decision you want to make. I personally think sword specialization is just way more fun. So I would always try to go for a sword. But this one's also kind of nice. It will give you crit instead, which is obviously pretty decent, but you don't really feel it, you know. So yeah, just use a sword, trust me. Range weapons, not really that important. Just get a decent one. Nerubian Slave Maker, I would really highly abstinate from getting this one, since you will grief your hunters, especially if you are in a guild and you kind of want to maybe gear up hunters for TBC. This is also a really, really strong option in TBC as well. So yeah, don't try to make that mistake. In TBC, we get like a questing weapon, which we can get really easy, which is better than all of these weapons here. So it doesn't matter. You have Soul String. You can get this one from 4 Horsemen. What I would try to do is just get anything which can give you some beneficial stats here, which can help you to get some, like, maybe you need some hit rating, and that's kind of it. It is, again, our stat stick. We don't really care about that. For example, you can get this one. This is really easy to get, 8 strength, 7 agility, but honestly, I would include something else here instead than this one. The other ones, yeah. For example, what is not mentioned here is this one. 10 hit rating for agility. It's a quest. You do ZG once, you do AQ20 once. You need to kill like a boss from each and loot something. Turn it in Syllaphus, you get this bow. You're good, you have 10 hit rating. So if you need hit, get this one really easy. So yeah, I don't know why this one was mentioned. This should have been mentioned instead of this one. Obviously, this has like better stats on it. But again, hit rating maybe at the start can be a bit problematic, especially because you need 9% hit rating. No? So yeah. Good. So that was just something I wanted to clear up here. Just show you like some items we have here. Like also make some comments about some items we have here. Some additional stuff. Mention something which is not mentioned here. And also which kind of weapons you should use. Should you use like a slow weapon in your offhand, fast weapon, stuff like that. So yeah, again, this is a longer video. I tried my best to make it a bit shorter, but you know how it goes. Starting about like talking about loot and such. Yeah, it will be pretty much a long video guaranteed. I hope you had some fun. However, maybe you learned something. I don't know. Again, I will link this one in the description. So if you want to read through it, feel free to do so. And I will see you in the next video. Have a great day. Goodbye.